When I decided to come back and study my Master of Environment, I knew I had to brace myself. Not because of the hours of my youth it was going to take, or the rapidly growing student debt that I didn't want to think about, but because I knew I'd be grappling with some of the most urgent issues of our time. And at first that felt pretty confronting, but from studying and working in this space, I can say with confidence that we are stronger together as a collective, and that's what I found through the Wattle Fellowship. So the Wattle Fellowship has been a journey of learning and development, as you've heard tonight. And we've been introduced to a lot of new ways of understanding the world, and in particular, the uncertainty and the complexity that we're up against. And one of those ways of thinking is in systems, understanding and looking at the relationships and the interconnectedness of various parts of the world as it is today, but also reimagining what is possible. And what is one of the barriers to that is the way that we work in sectors and silos. So the Wattle Fellowship has really brought us together in this multidisciplinary ecosystem where we have lots of ideas and approaches. So I wanted to take my 3 areas of passion, looking at climate, affordable housing and storytelling, and to start to weave together a bit of a narrative around climate-driven homelessness in Australia. And I started with, well, what does home actually mean to us? We know it's a lot more than 4 walls and a roof. It's also our sense of self, it's our identity, it's where we go to feel safe. And the other thing that we know is that housing as a human right is not universal. So climate-driven homelessness is one of those things that we've been grappling with a little bit in the last, well, pick a number, but last year in particular the floods were one of the worst on record, and it's pushing more and more people into the experience or the risk of homelessness, and so these areas are quite fundamentally linked. 122,000 people in Australia are experiencing homelessness on any given night, and you might have an idea of what someone who's homeless looks like in your head. I think we all do, but the reality is actually quite different. So 23% of people experiencing homelessness are young people between 12 and 24 years old. 1 in 5 people in our homeless population are our First Nations community. And women over 55 are the fastest growing group affected. So there are many faces to this issue, and we know that we need to do some further exploration. So I was really interested in this and decided to create a podcast. What qualifies me to host and create a podcast? Nothing really. But I was interested in bringing together climate and homelessness and storytelling, as I mentioned before. And this tells stories of our connection to place and home, and also brings in what is our connection to the planet as our home as well. And so I wanted to try to amplify diverse voices and experiences to start to bridge this gap between humans and nature that we think and talk about a lot, and also to challenge some of the stereotypes and unconscious biases that exist around what it means to be homeless, because it is something that can happen to anyone under the wrong circumstances. I'm really grateful to have collaborated on this project with some really incredible humans who I've looked up to since I was at Melbourne Uni doing my Bachelor of Commerce, questioning why we were so obsessed with growth and wealth and wanting to know more about how our community can be more equitable and sustainable in lots of various ways. And I want to shout out Mark Spencer, who's sitting at the front here. Mark is my editor and producer on the show, and he has been such an incredible mentor. So would you mind giving Mark a round of applause? And thank you for grateful in the hours of listening that you've done editing this show, not getting sick of my voice or me. Appreciate it. So my ask for you tonight is to get out your phone and scan the QR code and just take a listen for yourself. And I hope that some of these stories inspire you, from rebuilding after the floods in the Northern Rivers region to using place-based research to regenerate Melbourne as a city, all the way through to the different emerging, innovative, affordable housing models that are changing the future of living in Australia and globally. I hope that you'll find something here for you. And through wisdom and action, we really can do anything. I truly believe that. Thank you.